Don't get mad. Get better.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Colkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you want to download your podcast, the show is always free, and this show always appreciates your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. When recruits start talking about feeling the family atmosphere elsewhere, rather than feeling that at USC, something is amiss. I'll tell you what, instead of getting mad at the game, the way the game is being played, get better at playing the game, USC. USC recruiting is going to have enough bouquets to start a giveaway at their next home game. I'm serious. Look, fortunately, in 7 more weeks, USC and LSU kick off in Las Vegas, right? Then a week later, USC will host Utah State. So I'm telling you, the fans, show up to the home opener. Get your bridesmaid collectibles. You can use them to make a pom-pom shaker. Go USC. Look, at least this time it wasn't a defensive player. This time it was a wide receiver. Dalen McCutcheon, USC was supposedly where he was going to end up over the weekend. He made his choice made, and he chose Florida State. In the end, he said the family feel he got at Florida State is what separated them from the rest being USC. So once again, USC recruiting came in second place, the bridesmaid. Look, I can accept losing Riley Pettyjohn to Ohio State. Okay, they've been really good lately compared to USC. They've been a lot better than USC on defense compared to USC recently. And they have a history of putting linebackers into the NFL. So does USC, just not recently. However, when a wide receiver from Texas is picking Florida State over USC, and Juju Lewis, considered one of the top quarterbacks in the 2025 recruiting cycle, things that make you go, what's going on? I don't know, maybe one of these days, Juju Lewis will finally shut it down and stop wearing everyone else's jersey swag, put on the USC jersey. I mean, it would make sense, right? He's been committed to the Trojans since August of 2023. Don't misconstrue this. Don't get me wrong. USC's 2025 wide receiver recruiting cycle, it's not suffering. It's doing pretty well. Remind everybody, Corey Sims, Romero Eisen, probably throw in DeJuan Morris. He probably fits the bill. He's listed as an athlete. But, if we're keeping it 100%, there isn't a Zachariah Branch or a Deuce Robinson type of talent in that group. And when I talk about that type of talent, I'm talking about elite 5-star. At some point today, you're watching this episode of Locked On USC to start your week, Monday. We are talking July 15th. Tanuk Hines, really fast, really speedy wide receiver from the state of Texas, is anticipated to pick the Trojans. He's going to choose USC over Texas and Notre Dame. But you know what? Dalen McCutcheon was supposed to pick USC over Florida State and Texas, among others. Look, I get it. Head coach Mike Norvell, he's a really good offensive mind down there in Tallahassee. But when it comes to developing quarterbacks and wide receivers, USC is going to make Florida State hold their beer every single time. So what's going on? The Trojan family is now getting picked second behind the Seminole Chop. One of the community members over on the wearesc.com site, where I spend my other time when I'm not here doing Locked On USC, have this food for thought. In the words of CJ Stroud, the Houston Texans quarterback who went to Ohio State, you go to USC and UCLA games, and quite honestly, it's just kind of boring. Without all the people, they're kind of just there on vacation. You go to the other schools out of state, and their fans are kind of like fanatics. So was Dalen McCutcheon an NIL casualty? I mean, he's good. Is that what he meant about the family atmosphere? I wrote in my Sunday takeaway that I post every Sunday on wearesc.com about how USC needs to be better. I'm going to talk about that more in the next segment. So is the only way to get the best ranked recruits, is the only way to get them to pay them? Look, I know USC had a package put together for him. It wasn't the topic of the conversation of why he chose Florida State over USC. But look, at the last minute, Dalen said he changed his mind. Everyone anticipated Dalen picking up and putting on that USC hat. And he actually, when you're watching the commitment ceremony, he was stumbling over his words. I do that frequently. But you could tell he was kind of like, I'm not sure. It was a last minute thing. So again, he changed his mind at the last minute. In fact, this is what he told Scott Schrader from wearesc.com. You can read the whole commitment article when you're done watching this episode. It was like a last second decision about choosing Florida State. The main thing about Florida State was it's mainly family oriented, the team. My main thing when going to college is I wanted to find a family fit, a place with like-minded people, being able to get there and work hard because football is the main thing, and I want to be able to end up in the NFL, close quote. The main thing is football, and I want to end up in the NFL. Let's unwrap that. He liked the way Florida State sold the program on his official visit, and not just the offense. In fact, it was definitely the way the official visit went. Being around everybody, not only just be in my position group, but talking to the offensive line, the defensive line, and different people you wouldn't really expect to meet. Like, I'm sure NIL played a role. But he said it, I gave you his quote. I want to focus on football. Look, I don't think anybody's going to question USC's wide receiver development. Everyone would pick USC over Florida State. This isn't even really a discussion. Shouldn't be. So I'm not sure what that part of it was. And the same thing when it comes to the quarterback position. But right now, recruits aren't feeling the whole team concept. That was the main takeaway from what Dalen was talking about. So what happens if Tanuk Hines, the wide receiver from the state of Texas, picks someone else besides USC? Why is Lincoln Riley all of a sudden having a hard time closing the easy deals? The easy deals being the wide receivers. Getting Juju Lewis is shut it down. This is what I'm going to say. Thank God we have just about a week and a half left before USC's media day in Indianapolis, because I'm getting a little tired of delivering the ho-hum news when it comes to recruiting. July has not gone the way everyone had hoped it would go. And USC always seems to be the bridesmaid. They're always taking a loss, always coming in second place, which you're just the first person to lose. So I will be in Indianapolis for media day. I'll be there. I'm going to try and have one of those lunch talks with Coach Riley again. See if I can get some insights into what he can't say publicly. I'll let you know on tomorrow's episode of Locked on USC if Tanuk Hines made USC the bride or the bridesmaid. But as of right now, USC is in second place when it comes to recruiting. At least that's the feeling everyone's getting. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you're always going to find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into that MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. You're watching Fox Sports, you're watching ESPN all day long, you're flipping back and forth, and someone's always yelling. You know what? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel, and it's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, and it's streaming for you 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right. USC fans are mad. Or at least they're getting to a rolling boil, right? They're tired of waiting for better results from a program that should be producing better on the field as well as off the field. And when I'm talking about off the field, I'm talking about recruiting. Essentially, I think Trojan fans, they're just tired of feeling rejected. And they're not even sure why it's happening or how to deal with it. Rejection for USC fans, that's not part of the norm. Look, rejection, it's an emotion that's hard to recover from. We've all been there, right? We've all experienced it. Look, we've all been told no in our lives, right? I know I have many a time. Look, whether it's from being told no from a coworker, from your boss, being told no from a friend. You know what's the worst no? I'll tell you what the worst no is. You see that person across the room, that hot chick, and you know she's like that person who makes your heart skip a beat, right? It hurts the most when they tell you no, thank you. We all have to go through that experience at least once. Well, USC's recruiting, they've been dealing with a lot of rejection lately. Let me put it in even simpler terms. Think of it this way. You're a USC football fan. You're used to dating the supermodel, right? All of a sudden, supermodel's coming home every day, and they keep showing up wearing, I don't know, sweatpants, sweatshirt, baggy stuff. They're not showing off what they have. Look, on the field lately, USC, they've kind of been looking like they haven't really been putting in the necessary work. They've looked sloppy. They've looked lazy. Look, no one wants to pay a lot of money to see guys playing football when it looks like they're just kind of like lounging around on a lazy Saturday afternoon wearing sweatpants. They're not in uniform. They're not playing in uniform. This would be my advice to USC and the supermodel. We'll call it Kathy Ireland, right? That was my 80s crush growing up. Let's put your best foot forward all the time, USC. You're the supermodel. You can't put on sweatpants and show yourself off. If you're going to sell yourself, if you're going to try and impress recruits, then you better get dressed up, right? And you got to look like the supermodel. If you're going to tell everyone you are, look the part. Because look, like I said, even if you have all the resources and you have all those natural advantages, you're just naturally beautiful. And that's what USC is. The location, the campus. When I say location, I'm talking about Southern California, the beach, the mountains. You've got the weather. when you have that natural beauty and you want others to stare at you, well, guess what? You still have to prove it. You still got to prove that you're worth paying. You want to, you want to see them. If you're going to play that part, play it up. I think right there, that's USC football in a nutshell right now. They talk a big game. They tell you how great we are, how good we look, how good we can look. But right now, the lazy, entitled supermodel fans, they feel like they deserve a little bit more. They know what they have. They're tired of seeing it in sweatpants and baggy shirts, lounging around, not putting its best face forward. Here's the thing, Trojan football fans, your feelings are going to continue to get hurt until USC football gets better. If USC wants more eyes staring at them, then it needs to represent itself publicly like others think it should. And what do I mean by that? In the simplest terms, enough analogies. Win the games on the field, and defend your reputation when others call you out. In other words, show you got a pair. On the field, play some defense. Make other offensive players feel like, you know what? The football team is all about football. It's not offense over here and defense over there. It's all one big family. With recruiting, again, it means, I don't know, spending a little more time in the communication process. Or, we do live in the NIL era. You might have to spend some more money during the courting part of the relationship. Whatever it is, do it. Get better. In the business world, when rejection comes from our clients, we kind of anticipate it because we're trying to deal with being told no, right? Excuse me. However, football fans, we live in a different world. Football fans live in a world where the wins on the field, they give us vicarious feelings of superiority, right? And those recruiting victories, they soothe the feelings of rejection that lead to inadequacy. That's what Trojan football fans are feeling right now. They're feeling inadequate. They're not getting the recruits. And they're not getting the recruits because USC is not winning on the field. It's like a vicious circle. Just keeps going and going and going. Last year, USC's reputation on the football field took a hit publicly. Literally, when it displayed a complete inability to defend itself. And when I say defend itself, I mean play defense. And as a result, now Lincoln Riley's reputation as a football coach and his ability to recruit, it's starting to get re-examined. When you're used to hearing yes more than no, rejection can be hard to deal with. And that's what USC football fans, that's what they're dealing with right now. If everyone is telling you no, the question is why, right? It's not you, it's me. That's not what we're hearing, though. It's not me, it's you, is what the recruits are saying. They're saying it nicely. They're looking out for everyone's feelings. USC basically needs to look in the mirror and ask, am I presenting myself in the best light, or am I pretending to be someone else? Okay? I've long said the same thing. The game day atmosphere at USC needs to be better. You heard recruits like Dalen McCutcheon and CJ Stroud before him. They're pointing it out. I'm still pointing it out. Because if we want to take it to a more micro aspect of it, it's starting to reflect with the NIL passion from USC fans. Is NIL USC's biggest area for improvement? when it comes to recruiting? No. However, the fans that tend to complain the loudest when it comes to NIL and USC's recruiting, they're usually the ones who are expecting others to solve the problem. So, to those fans, what about going to the games, right? I'm talking about the home games, not asking you to go above and beyond and travel. Right? Going to the home games, that's something that's in the fans' control. You can control that. You can display that family atmosphere that maybe Dalen McCutcheon was referring to, or what CJ Stroud was talking about when he was going through the recruiting process. Because honestly, if we're being honest, say that too many times, uh, it's if the fans show up and fill up the Coliseum, it's one less thing the recruits can point the finger at. Then USC fans can say, "Hey, at least we're doing our part." If the fans do their part and USC wins games and plays defense, that should take care of the rest. Home field advantage helps. I can go back to that game in 2004, USC versus Cal. That 4-down series in the closed end of the Coliseum by the tunnel. All that took place right in front of me. I was standing up, section 13 in the herd. That place was loud. Don't tell me it didn't have an effect on how that game finished. Because when you have to make something happen and you're distracted and there's just that little bit more pressure on you where you can't concentrate, it matters. So I understand. I get it. Recruiting isn't going the way it can be, but we're starting to hear some ways that USC's recruiting can get better. Number one, win some games. Number two, get that family atmosphere feeling again. And the fans can help. Show up. Help your team win. All right. There was something out over there on X. There was a message. I don't know. I can't remember who put it out, but apparently the AP released the top programs of all time, top 25 programs. I'm just going to do the top 10. Okay. The AP all-time football programs list was as follows. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Oklahoma. Number 4, Michigan. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 6, USC. Number 7, Texas. Number 8, Nebraska. Number 9, Penn State. Number 10, Tennessee. Okay. How many weeks each program has been ranked in the top 25, the AP top 25? So Alabama was number 1 with 1,171 weeks. Ohio State 1157, Oklahoma 1147, USC at 851 came in at number 6. Notre Dame was number 5, 1048, Michigan number 4, 1064. All right. There wasn't a whole lot of science put into this calculation. This was AP ranking only. That's it. No other calculations. No other variables, no other factors involved. So do you agree with this list? Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, Texas, Nebraska, Penn State, Tennessee. That's your top 10. I don't think anybody's really going to argue that much with 1, 2, and 3. Let me tell you why. Alabama, look, they've got the national championships to back up their dominance. Ohio State, they've been a consistent program. Same thing. Oklahoma, they have been a consistent program throughout their history. Got that 47-game winning streak when Bud Wilkinson was their coach. They've got some national championships throughout their history. They got some Heisman trophies. You're welcome, Lincoln Riley. But after that, let's look at 4, 5, and 6. Michigan, Notre Dame, USC. You could probably throw them back in the hat, pull out each name, and you can make the argument they should be number 4. You can probably make the argument they could be number 3 as well. I mean, Michigan, they won the national championship last year. It took them a while to get back, but a lot of their stuff took place a while ago. Notre Dame, a lot of their success, ancient history, right? But they're always in the polls despite their postseason success or lack thereof. Again, this is what this was about, appearing in the AP poll. No, and then you got USC. When you take into consideration that the AP ranking was the only consideration, you could, like I said, you could probably rearrange these teams, throw them back in a hat and say, you know what? This is your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. USC, with their history, national championships, Heisman trophies, their brand, easily top 3 program. Easily. Like I said, when you combine everything that USC's done, you can move them up on that list. But right now, I don't think anybody should budge or try and knock Alabama or Ohio State. They have been the most consistent programs. It is what it is. USC's dealt with some other issues. Sometimes those programs like Alabama and Ohio State, they get to get away with those issues. We're not going down that rabbit trail. Not tonight. Anyways, that's this episode of Locked on USC. But hey, I want to remind you, not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. Season's coming up. Make sure you check out the Locked on USC postcast right here on the Locked on USC podcast feed, as well as streaming on the Locked on Los Angeles YouTube channel. I'm going to be able to give you rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked on USC postcast. All right, that's it for this episode. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have an update on Tanu Kynes. Is he a Trojan? Is he a Domer? Where did he go? I'll let you know. So make sure you're tuning in. So until then, everyone, when you're not watching Locked on USC, you're over there on WeRSC.com. When you are watching Locked on USC, hit that thumbs up, hit that bell notification button, and that way you don't miss an episode. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.